Okay, so now what we got to do next is I've got to get this end opened up to accept that other long skinny piece, and we want to open that up so that when I slip that long skinny piece in here, ideally we'll be able to line up the hole on that with the hole in this and put a long pin through there hopefully. Now I can't just open up the very end of this and slide that in there and put the pin through here, because then the arm's just going to want to go like that, you know. So I've got to use this pin back here. I might not have wanted to insert it in that far, although after I cut this end off it's really only going to be inserted in there about 12 inches. So I'm going to have to cut this here all around, and then I'm going to cut the bird's mouth right here. I'm going to cut a slot here, and I'm going to try and make that slot match on both sides as best as I can. And the thickness of that slot, I don't really want that any thicker than it absolutely has to be, so I'll figure out a way to take some measurements on the bucket there and get that done. But for the very moment, I think I'm just going to work on that. Battery died, so I have to switch to the Sony camera for now, the older one. Basically all I did was I opened this up, so now you can see this plate down inside here that's acting as a web to stiffen this, and that's going to be in the way. So that's going to be cut out, but I'm only going to notch it to accept that vertical, that boom section there. So I'll be able to leave some of it on the edge there, and that'll help stiffen this, keep it stiff or whatever. But now I've got this opened up, I should be able to finish the cut inside here to get this whole end piece off, and then I can work out exactly marking out the slot that I'm going to cut in here to accept that other part. I just went down that area because it was driving me crazy with the little spot fires. Problem is, right there is also where the web is on the backside there, so it's a very thick spot there, and that's going to be the hardest place to get this disconnected from. Let's see if I can't just bang it off. Alright, I measured the width of that part right there, and it's 2.5 inches, so I'll be all set. Because the space it's going to fit into between the two inside wall areas there, where the pin goes through, is 3.5 inches. So that's not a problem. Now I've got to open up that web. What I'm doing is I'm setting the calipers to the width here. I guess I can do it outside. Yes. So, there we go. So now I know my slot that I need to cut in here is going to be this wide. Some of you might be wondering why I'm not making the slot as wide as this, but I can actually put this up over the top of that and in there. So I can cut that slot and still have plenty of meat left in there. Alright, I'm just going to mark off my lines to follow and cut my slot fairly straight. Exactly centered, and as long as it's at least 2 inches wide, it will work. Make it a little over 2 inches wide so that it's not, so if I deviate off the line a little bit, it'll still fit. The reason why I want this slot in here, the reason why I'm not cutting the whole web out, or why I'm being picky about the diameter or the width of the slot, is because when my boom piece is in here and it's in this position, these webs that I leave behind here are going to keep it from wanting to try and torque like this. Although, depending on how tight the pin ends up being, it might not be an issue. Metal's there, no harm in using it. Alright, so I am going to have to widen the end of the slot furthest in, because that doesn't want to quite, because of the large diameter of this part right here, doesn't want to clear that. There's a second gusset plate there. So I don't need to widen the whole slot, just from about here back. Oh, looks like I forgot to hit record, so you missed me cutting out that, widening that end of the slot there. But alright, well, let's see. A moment of truth. Let's see if she fits. There we go. That's the money there. Now, I'm wondering about how this pin's going to line up. If it's going to line up. Oh, not bad at all. Not bad at all. Ooh, that's still hot. Yep. I need a long pin for that. Let's see. Hope I didn't. I sold off a bunch of pins. I hope I didn't sell off one that'll fit in there. Well, I guess we can lose this hydraulic point on the top. Need that. Getting there. All right. I'm not gonna fuss with going to find that pin right now because I know this is gonna work out. So now I gotta turn my focus to the other end there, making the bird's mouth or the slotted area that's going to engage the lip of the bucket.